Oh, word to the wise! We are an explicit podcast tackling content with adult themes, as well as entering spoiler territory if you are not caught up with us, which this week is through to the very, very, very end of Howling Dark, the second book in the Sun Eater series by Christopher Rocchio. So if you haven't read at least that far, start reading, come back later.
Hey there, this is Cross.
And I might be Josh.
And we are Words and Whiskey, a podcast for veteran and novice readers like. We tackle fiction novels and love to talk about what we're drinking. You should think of us as your intoxicating weekly book club.
We've got all this book club over here absolutely raring to go.
Absolutely raring to go. It's not even in the script anymore, Josh. It's been fully edited out.
I see it. I can see it in my memories.
In your memory banks. Are you now two Joshes? Are there two? Did you die and you're reborn?
It's weird. My arm's still over there.
Yeah, my arm's in the lake.
Well, but also, no, maybe I died and I came back as two children.
Also could be the case. Three immortals either way.
Yeah, you ever have two immortals that turn into like three immortals and a baby?
That's pretty much what happened.
There is a cradle involved. Someone came out of an egg.
Yeah, there is a little eggshell. Yeah, right.
Just waiting for Nabuto or whatever his name is to come back.
Yeah, just be like, that said, today is our 11th episode talking about this book. We're in final. It's worth noting about Howling Dark by Christopher Rocchio. We're reading Divide and Conquer through Halfmortal. Worth noting, of course, that we'll follow this up with a wrap-up episode with Nick Kimball. Very excited to kind of have that conversation with Wicked Good Books and a podcast that talks predominantly about the Gideon the Ninth series, The Locked Tomb. That's what the name of the series. But very excited to chat with him on next week. But Josh, with that, what are your vibes on this week? What are your vibes on the end of this Here There novel?
This is a good book.
It's a good book.
Yeah, I mean, like, this book really does hit the ground running compared to the first one in a lot of ways, and then about halfway through it go real crazy, and then this ending is just wild, bonkers. Man, I mean, it's such a cool actiony ending, and then it just gets so fucking psychedelic out of nowhere, it's sick, and yeah. That's all I got. It's just really cool and confusing, but in a good way. The nice confusing where you're like, I think I get it.
Yeah, the good confusing. I think that it is in a lot of ways just like a great read. Very fun to go through. Do you kind of see the, like, while not direct comparisons, and again, we're not going to spoil anything about that book, like the logical comparisons to Golden Sun?
Very much so. Yeah. Though the ending of this feels a lot more like the ending of Red Rising.
Very
like
true.
Very end,
very true.
The very end, like the knighthood aspect, I guess.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's. I can totally see the comparisons. Yeah, but also it's so different. It's just so intensely different from the Red Rising books in general, like this series so far. I get where people get it from. Like, it's in space, and there's a
and
society.
The Romans vaguely, and there's a hierarchy.
Yeah, and that's about where the similarities end, in my opinion. Like, this definitely to me has more in common, like spiritually and structurally, with something like the Farseer trilogy or something.
Sure. Yeah,
in like the way how it's written and feels, and the way how the story kind of flows.
Yeah. Definitely get that.
Which, spoilers for that, this ending isn't actually that dissimilar from the ending of the second Farseer book. In a way, in a strange way. So yeah, I like this more, but yeah, I think that this book, especially as we're moving into this back half, puts it deeper into that like sci fantasy area. It really starts getting a little bit more fantasy feeling in a sense, which it's still grounded in like a sci-fi blanket, I guess, like, yeah, it's not magic, it's aliens from the future, But
If I
whenever you
squint my
start
eyes and
having-
raise my eyebrows.
whenever you start having aliens from the future existing in a subliminal space that can pull through the consciousness of a deceased person and then reject them back out into the world with a new body as their old one disintegrates, but not their arm, that's fantasy. Like, that's you can put as much pseudoscience around it as you want. That's a fantasy novel, my boy.
Yeah. What do you mean this alien civilization abandoned their bodies to become energy?
Yeah. Hey,
Maybe.
I've on a real bad Monday, I'm pretty sure I've abandoned my body to become energy before.
I do have abandoned my body to become energy. Actually, I hadn't considered that. That is usually the way Tuesday goes.
Yeah, that's just Tuesday, brother.
Yeah. Spirit leaves the body. That said, I just realized we didn't take our shot during the Devil's Cut. Did you pour yourself a shot? Well,
I poured myself a snifter, so I'll do a snifty.
Absolutely. We'll give a little cheers here collectively for all of the dead that we will be talking about over the course of this episode, because there are plenty.
There's a plenty.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we were supposed to cheers to something specifically, or just in general?
To them?
Dead?
Yeah.
To them. And all that they
Good work.
do.
Yeah.
May the rains fall down.
May the rains cross flame everywhere.
Yeah.
Where the green
May
is
the
law.
flames be crossed and the rains be smithed.
I have maybe unfortunate news. Hang on one more time. This is not very good.
I'm not surprised.
Damn. Voodoo Ranger has a pretty high hit rate for the weird beers, I think.
feel like I don't love most Voodoo Rangers, but
Really? I feel like they have a pretty decent hit rate among like some of the stuff, but
I'm not usually a big hazy or juicy guy.
okay.
And a lot of what they do is hazy and juicy. So, I don't think they're bad beers. I'm just like not that into them a lot of the time.
Yeah, and they do that, in my opinion, and I do like hazies and juicies, although not my favorite, but like good. I think that they do a pretty decent variety of them, and especially for something that is mass produced at scale, I just think it's like a lot higher quality than a lot of similar things. I'd rather buy local a lot of the time, but again, as mentioned in the Devil's Cut, I thought I had limited time, so ran to gas station to grab beer.
For sure.
Yeah.
Where is Voodoo Ranger even based out of?
I think California. I think they're...
That sounds right. They've been around here forever.
Oh no, Fort Collins, Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Oh, where they make beer.
Yeah, New Belgium. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's fine.
Right.
But like in the realm of if I want like a stupid high ABV, easy to find across wherever I am IPA, like I'd rather a Space Dust, you know?
Very true. An Elysian Space Dust is always going to be good.
Yeah.
I do think that Voodoo Ranger
I'm
does...
trying to drink out of Seattle, not out of Colorado, you know?
Yeah, right. I definitely get it. I don't know. I'm of a mixed opinion on both, frankly. I do think that Voodoo Ranger has a shockingly high ABV to value, similar to Space Dust.
Yes. Yeah, no, if I'm at a music festival or a sports game or something, and they have either of those on tap, because they're just gonna have the one beer price.
Right.
You bet your ass I'm getting a Voodoo Ranger or a Space Dust.
Right. Over a Michelob or like a Bud Light.
Well, I'm gonna have to pay $18 for this 12-ounce beer, so you bet your ass I'm getting the 10%.
That's exactly what I did at the concert last night. I was like, I'm absolutely getting a Pernicious, not a fucking Bud Light. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
What were we talking about?
Yeah. No, I'm very let down by the Invincible beer, which is very sad because it was on brand and I bought it specifically for this reason, and now I feel like I've been tricked by capitalism and marketing.
I mean, you have. I mean, a lot of the times, at least whenever I worked at a brewery,
but often there's satisfaction.
Yeah,
in the trick.
I remember whenever I worked at a brewery, we would do specific brand deals for the beers that didn't turn out very good or that we had too much of that was going to go bad.
Oh, interesting.
So we'd repackage like a Downtown Brown is one of the beers that we had that was never a very good seller. It was a decent brown ale. And we'd be like, oh, the Downtown Brown's not selling. We need this to be like the Grizzly first base or something, which Grizzly's the baseball team in Fresno. And it's like we'd do a partnership with Grizzly Stadium. We'd sell them all of the kegs of it for like decently cheap and we just offload it, and now it's the Grizzly beer and people would get it because it's Grizzlies, or we did like a Rick and Morty collab once back in the day with just a bunch of like cucumber lager that wasn't selling very well and was starting to kind of almost go vinegary, and it wasn't supposed to be a pickle beer, but we're just like, oh, we'll call it the Pickle Rick, and then it totally sold.
Nice. Yeah.
So whenever I see those like brand deals, I'm like, it could be good, but like chances are it's a beer they were trying to get rid of in the first place.
I don't even know if it's, I have a feeling that that's why they're selling it in a variety pack and not on its own branded, because it's not very good. Regardless of like production or anything like that, it's just like, okay. This Sweet Ride, though, Juicy, is great. So I had a backup beer, not because I didn't anticipate that, but because I assumed that I would need a second beer. Little did I know how desperately I needed a second beer. So sorry to have broken into this conversation talking about beer so early, but oh my God, it was not good. Okay.
We got to talk about it when we got to talk about it.
And that's to protect the people. I'm protecting the people here.
It was a service announcement that needed to be made.
Yeah. So. Okay. With that, we can get into Divide and Conquer, our start of the week here. We start the final week with a tough look at what happened last week. It seems as though something is going on with the kids. Tension is high with Basander and crew. It seems like Crosslane and Smythe are dead, although we quickly realize that this isn't true in the next chapter, as all of those various commanding officers appear to be dead, leaving our little crew not knowing exactly what to do here in the immediate moment.
Yeah. There's it's a little bit later in this chapter, I'm pretty sure, but there's some great stuff with Basander here, and it like you really starts to get a shift of the vibe towards the Basander we're like hinted that eventually we'll know through Adrian,
right.
But yeah, it's just it's not like going well, and the kids are being weird as shit.
Yeah, I mean, and this is, to your point, like where we get like a heroic Basander. We understand sort of the Templar valor and Paladin honor on the other side of his bend of justice, right? Like, I think he says something like, I'm going to the Mistral for reinforcements. I need volunteers. There are 400 Cielsen outside that door, and they are coming in. And while it's not an inspirational speech, it does get something out of the people gradually as they do flock to his side.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like through and through, every action Basander's done, he's a soldier, and that's been to the detriment of like Hadrian and his mission up to this point.
Right.
We need a soldier right now, you know. And through, he is the soldier. So like, it's cool to see this moment where Hadrian's like, I need to sit my ass down for a sec. Basander is probably the guy for this one.
Yeah. And the repeat of like the Jadian ideal of like soldier or a poet, comes up a bunch this section, right? And it's like, you don't need a fucking poet right now, do you?
Exactly. You need a soldier. And Basander Lynn has had a crew cut since he was born, I think. So
could not be more true. He's in the art and on the cover of one of the Tales collections from Inderida, and it's just so it's like, oh yeah, that's Basander. Like I saw it and I was like,
for sure.
I'm not even
Basander.
Some of these characters I'm like questioning, and I'm like, no, that's Basander. That's for
that's
sure.
Basander Lynn right
that's
there.
It.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, I think that there's like this interesting thing too where like there's just such weird shit going on with the kids in the background and the captive and everything else. And it's just like, I don't know what's going on, but like the focus stays right here with Basander and Hadrian. And I think that it's cool.
Yeah, it stays close to the camera as we're kind of questioning. And Basander kind of tells him to sit down. They all agree and they go. I mean, this is a pretty straightforward chapter as far as the way that we leave here. Greenlaw gives him the kit. Basander gives instructions to Hadrian of like, do what you do best. Fucking talk to him, buddy.
Yeah, there's a really, in my opinion, like pretty well set emotional moment in this chapter though, as well. I can't remember the name of the character, but like Basander's kind of like right-hand general.
Greenlaw, yeah.
Greenlaw, yeah. There's that moment, I'm pretty sure it's in this chapter.
Yeah.
Where like everything gets put together, the volunteers are there, and Basander's like, all right, Greenlaw, like, fetch me my things, and realizes Greenlaw's not there. And like just that slight moment, like that twitch of the eyes, and then, all right, well, I got to set off to do my thing. Like it's a very kind of like humanizing moment and really kind of tragic where it's like, that's the moment Basander realizes Greenlaw's gone. Yeah. I thought that was really well done.
His only movement was close to his mouth, like just like a little like twitch, we assume.
Yeah.
That's to the understanding. Yeah, very, very good little chapter. With that, we get into Play the Orator, which is one of the 2 longest chapters of the week, or 3. There are 3 long boys and then a couple of short ones interspersed here. But we start with a little pontificating about the children again, as we sort of reflect on them repeatedly. I think Rockio does a really good job of making sure that they're in the foreground of our thoughts so that it avoids feeling like a Deus Ex when they like revive. It's like, okay, something's going on here.
He definitely sets us up with like, here's the Psalms.
Mhm.
They're out here. Hadrian even makes a point to be like, they are still alive. They're just shut down.
Mhm.
These kids are seizing. We're pretty sure, like, we're set up to expect it rather than like be shocked whenever it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
it's more of the tension of when.
Right. It's is this a bomb that's going to go off, or like what's going to happen exactly? There's a note as well that Volka brings up about the transfer of consciousness here, as well as sort of the way of switching his hormone culture. Switching to a female body is more of maybe like a novelty and an entertainment, especially given the sort of immortal life that I found interesting. And Hadrian again reflects, as he does many times over the course of this week, in particular, the only thing Theseus could not replace was Theseus himself. And how Karn had done even that. He had replaced himself,
even
the boards. Yeah.
There's some interesting stuff in here. It might be in here. It might be in the later chapter whenever like we're dealing more with the kids.
There's a lot in that kids chapter. That's the other like second longest chapter.
There's just a moment where it's I think it is in the later one, but where Hadrian's like reflecting on like people think that if they were able to take their brain out and put it in a new body, that it is definitely in that chapter, but that like who they are would transfer, but so much of who we are is stored in like our nervous system and our hormones and our actual physical being. Our brain's just part of that being. It's not who we are even. And so like it's very like it's a very kind of interesting look at the physicality of the human body and how our personalities are like reflected within the physical that we exist within.
Especially on the idea of like, where is the soul, right? And this is something that even like Hadrian in the first book got into, like, where is it? Like, could we know? Do we know? I don't know.
According to early Japanese animism, Shinto, I believe it is stored in the butt.
The butt.
And I only know that because the river kappas would literally slurp people's souls out their butt whenever they waded to the river. So we have our answer already.
And I never mean to culturally demean, but that seems as though that's maybe intended to be a warning for like river parasites in like, cultural storytelling.
Like, hey, if you don't want your soul to literally leave your ass, do not drink that river water.
Do not wade in it. Do not drink it. The ghosts will get you. The demons
out of your ass.
Out of your ass.
Exactly.
And I feel like this is also a really good point to bring this up, and we can talk more about this too in the later chapter. But I do think, and I'm curious to ask this question, this would be one that we will eventually ask the man himself. It feels like a simple linguistic trick, but in particular, in this read through of this whole book, I couldn't get it out of my head that Karn is effectively a shortening of incarnation, in which he is many and multiple of. And I can't help but wonder if that's like, what incarnation? If that's like where the name came from, the intent of the name.
I think it's 3 things. It's like incarnation shortened for Karn, and then Sig, just because like that guy loves a good drunk Sig at a party.
Yeah.
And then Ara for Ara, so I think that's
he's also got so much aura that like obviously
that's exactly right. So I think that's probably what's going on. It's incarnation, Sig, aura.
Right.
Sick aura is probably what it is. It's probably incarnation, sick aura.
Sick aura, dude. Yeah.
But no, I mean, that is a really interesting thought, and possibly the case.
Yeah, it's one of those questions where I was like, couldn't get it out of my mind.
It's like also, it completely works, but it's possible it was just like a sci-fi name generator.
Yeah, well, the other trouble here, importantly, is that like Karn, spelt exactly the way that it is a character in Warhammer 40K. He's Karn the Betrayer.
Okay.
Which is
I've had Karn come up as just a random like name that is automatically given to a character that you can change starting Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, almost undoubtedly it's in every
Yeah.
fantasy generator. Again, in sci-fi in particular, because like Warhammer 40K
Warhammer
has had that lore for forever, and it's likely based on something else as well, like deep within history somewhere, and like a respelling, a recontextualization. In my mind, the first Karn is the 40K Karn, but
probably.
Yeah.
The first one I ran
Spoiler.
into was
Karn, is it Karn the Betrayer, Karn the Despoiler? No, Abaddon the Despoiler, Karn the Betrayer.
Karn the Betrayer.
Yes, he's a badass. He's one of the Chaos Space Marines, which was one of the 3 armies that I made growing up when I was a super big nerd as a child, which should not be shocking to anyone.
Yeah, according to AI, the name Karn is from Warhammer 40K,
Okay.
which is the name being from the word carnage.
Yeah,
There you go.
I kind of imagine that, but like this is where I think that this is different, because Karn here doesn't necessarily mean carnage. I think it means incarnation, or is like pointing in that direction, which is very different.
Now, with that, also Karn, spelt the same way without the little over it.
Right. The carrot
is a surname with an origin going back to Eastern Europe and Central Asia,
that
specifically Turkic.
Oh, that
and
is
Mongolic.
100% what it is. Okay. All right. So in review here, while we're kind of moving through the ponderates here, it is almost certainly that, because a lot of the inspiration for a lot of this comes from the the Eastern Empire of Rome. What's it called? It starts with a B. Oh my God. I am going to die not remembering what this is. No. Oh,
Mongolia.
No.
It's the Eastern Empire of Rome.
Yeah. Oh, Byzantine. I didn't.
Okay, I actually do know that word. Yeah, I could have gotten there, I guess, if I tried harder.
I was starting to search it, and then as my fingers were typing in Eastern Roman Empire, I was like Byzantine, which is great.
Well, like Byzantine, am I right?
Yeah. But like Byzantine Empire, especially with like the area, it had like a lot of unique things. That's one of the primary draws of the series, is on that time and idea. So that is almost certainly where it came from. But curious,
Nice.
at the very least, on incarnation.
Curious.
Made me think about it.
Certainly.
Yeah, certainly. So what can Hadrian really do here but play for time? Of course, is sort of our analysis, or what we have to look at here. And so he decides to do so, but also to use it as an attempt to negotiate with Aranata, even though that isn't necessarily the goal here, as we get this incredibly tense moment that happens between the two of them, looking at the young of like the Nabuta and sort of everything else, and then this "I'll show you yours if you show me mine" kind of thing, which is a fun ploy and play on the words, obviously, that Hadrian's doing here.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure Polino shows up later in this section, so we even get a one-eyed soldier at some point.
True. Yeah, he does. He eventually joins us.
Oh my God, could you, because Adrian made my one-eyed soldier stood at attention joke earlier, what if he calls his penis his little Polino?
This instead poses a far graver question in my mind, of which is less serious and simultaneously
what
just
if
as
it's
serious.
his big Polino?
What if he forgot Polino's real name, and because he named his dick Polino,
he's like,
they're both one-eyed soldiers.
Name? The one-eyed soldier? Yeah, it's Polino.
My Polino.
Oh, my Polino.
I feel so bad. I love Polino so much, but also I am not going to unthink that.
That Polino is just like Jadian for dick, and he can't remember what Polino's name was.
And he's just like,
he knows he was a one-eyed soldier, so we're just gonna call him Polino.
Rough translation. Yeah, that's
Polino.
where we're at.
All right.
It's a fun little note. There's a lot of great tension here that leads into sort of the next thing, obviously. But I really appreciate like Aranata and like Hadrian giving this another go, and it again shows sort of the futility of what they were going for here to begin with, right?
Yeah. Give me my people and I'll let your child live. I'll eat your people and then you give me my child. No,
That's not what I
hold
said.
on.
Yeah.
I'll kill him if you do that. You kill him and I'll eat them. Okay, cool. So don't eat them and I'll give them to you. I'm going to eat them and then you give them to me. Cool.
Oh. Yeah.
It feels almost like, man, like getting stuck in that drive-through and dude, where's my car? Just like,
Yes,
and then
yes,
like
yes.
you're like, I'm done ordering, man. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. And it's so difficult to like parse this sort of like absolute disagreement and be like, Hadrian's doing his best here, you know, the orator, of course, and trying to kind of talk his way not only out of the situation but through the situation, maybe to like win some kind of ground here, even though betrayal is coming for the Cielson eventually in the form of the Red Company showing up. So like there's an attempt here, which makes me question whether or not he just fully believed that this was futile or if he was actually going to get something out of it.
Yeah. Man.
Because I do feel like he kind of, especially with the moment in which he kills Nabuta, which we'll move into in a little bit here, it kind of feels like he hadn't resigned himself to do that yet. Like it was on the table.
Yeah.
But
I mean, and this is also one of those spots where I did kind of wonder about how Hadrian views himself in the past. Like, we see him avoiding it for a while, and then even he gets called a coward, and like even still, there's like this big hesitation, and it's like, how much of it was calculated? How much of it was like, yes, I have nothing else. Like, I have to kill the child, and how much of it was like actually reactionary? Like, how noble was he in the situation in actuality in his youth? I don't know. It's so
yeah, it's tough to say at the very least.
Yeah, it doesn't go well for some people.
Yeah, I've got a quote before we move to those people, which is unfortunate. But there's this great quote here. You know, show me my child, I'll show you yours if you show me mine. And we moved from there into this quote. The Cielson knew nothing of reciprocity, of responsibility, of competence, only of man and the dominion of force, like an idiot's mockery or a child's copy of man. How they had climbed their fumbling way up from the mud of their birth, I cannot say. Perhaps they were right, and the quiet aided them. Perhaps they were lucky, or perhaps it was only that instinct for subordination and obedience ran in them as strongly as the impulse to dominate. Perhaps they lacked free will, or like the pagan emperors of old, believed free will the provenance only of those great ones. Like Alexander, they named gods on earth. Who now can say? There are so few of them left, so few who survived me. It does, like, there is this glimmering hope that, like, not all the Cielson died.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's
it's such a I don't know, and I totally understand it in this moment with the context of where the story is here and what we are learning about the Cielson. But like, it's calling them lesser than and like really demeaning them in a lot of ways, and then ending it with, and I was almost successful with my genocide, is just a wild line. Like, it's such a villain, like that line out of context. I mean, even in context a little bit, it's so villainous. That's a villain speech. Like,
right.
I remember reading that and being like, whoa, Hade.
Yeah.
Down, boy.
I do agree, but also I do think that there's something to be said about, like, I view this in a couple of different ways. One is a villain speech, right? One is sort of a rationalization of the way that they maybe were at the end, as he sort of realizes and contextualizes and thinks about Cielson at the end of this war, as he's writing this as old Hadrian. And then also a reflection upon his failure to do it any differently, right? So few that survived me, to me, reads a little bit more of like a damning statement of himself.
I mean,
also brutal, but damning.
There's a regret there, but it's the same regret in the last section. He like dismisses and like almost like mocks like fucking the creators of the atomic bomb for,
right?
You know,
sure.
Yeah, he's like, in the last section, I believe there was like a statement about like,
death.
These Megases who, you know, didn't stop to think if they should,
right,
and then weeped over the creation that they made, but they still launched the rockets or whatever. And then he's literally over here like, so few that survived me, weeping over the rockets he still launched.
Right.
You know?
Very true.
Like,
Yeah. Man's nothing if not a
Hadrian,
hypocrite.
nothing if not a hypocrite constantly.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm so pissed at him in the Switch situation at the end of this, but you know, we're going to get there.
Yeah.
Boy in the wrong with that one, but it's fine. Honestly, good for Switch. Get out of there.
Yeah.
This is no place for you. But
yes, absolutely. Right.
Yeah. I did think that was interesting where it does kind of have that, and which is why I kind of equate it to a villain speech. It's almost like Thanos taking his time to look over a grateful universe. And he's like, oh, I'm so sad that I had to kill half the universe because I decided that that's the only way to do it. Even if I have the God glove that would just let me double space and resources. But
could have let me do anything, but I killed half of people.
But I thought kill half of everybody. And I know that's not what he does in the comics. He just was like really into death. But she's played by Aubrey Plaza now in the MCU, so I get it.
Yeah, right. Me too.
Yeah,
buddy.
Yeah, right there with you.
I love the comparison to a villain speech, though. I think that's a great.
Yeah,
I mean, there are many ways to read this, and I think that is another reason that this book is so good and so interesting from this perspective of this being an autobiography, right?
And I read it as a sympathetic villain speech, but a villain speech nonetheless.
Right, right. Absolutely. Definitely. And also like it's worth noting that the very next paragraph he talks about hypocrisy and blindness. So he does talk about the way that it's easy to be confused about like the perspectives that you're holding. So exactly. I mean, like he's aware of what he's also suggesting, which I think is important. That said, Tanaran reveals, as commanded by Aranata, that Crossflame and Rain survived the attack with only a dozen or so left from the whole engagement. Aranata begins to tear soldiers apart, including this Triasta, screaming for his child, and despite Marlowe's best attempts, continues to do so. Crossflame valiantly stands up as a couple of these are torn down, and in what is perhaps the like saddest sacrifice, I think, of the book, doesn't even like get acknowledged, and instead just gets his throat torn out and feasted upon.
Yeah. Take me and yeah. Also, in this section, there's a really interesting thing with Hadrian's ways of identifying Aranata. Where, like, in an earlier section, once Hadrian realized that Aranata, like, bore Nobuto.
Yeah, Nobuto. Yeah.
Then, like, the conjugation shifts to only using, like, feminine pronouns.
She, her. Yep.
But it's bouncing all over the place in the section, depending on who has the upper hand in the moment.
It's he, she.
Yeah, it's like all right now that's them. That's a person I'm connecting with. That is the alien, and I don't know where we stand. And that is she because I have her kid, and that is he because he is killing Rain Smythe in Crossland.
Yeah, right.
Like it really. I want to go back and like really dissect it, but it feels like the gendering pronouns really do reflect exactly in that moment where the upper hand is in that
the power
like
dynamic
exchange. I feel like if I were to like graph the whole thing out, it perfectly encapsulates how Hadrian's feeling the power scales shifting in each moment, and that's really fun.
And as it accompanies the idea of the Cielcin language being gendered by power.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which is very interesting
because men are just like naturally more powerful. We have the biological advantage. We're actually one of these podcasts now. Yeah. Hey, creatine. Yeah. So.
Yeah. That said, with the creatine aside, I think it's also important to like we've said this before, and I'll say it again. But creatine. But we've said that before, and I'll say something else again. Macho. You can learn more about that in the Devil's Cut. Patreon.com/words and whiskey.
Got a ton of bonus content over there, absolutely raring to go.
Yeah. Anywhere from 10 minutes to like 30-minute bangers sometimes.
Yeah.
Like last week, I was like, we recorded, and it was like 4 hours that we were sitting here talking to each other. And then I edited it, and I was like, that was 2 hours and 10 minutes. And I looked at the Devil's Cut, and I was like, we talked for
That's
35 minutes? Yeah.
Honestly, the Devil's Cuts might be the better podcast.
Who knows? Yeah. All that to say, I do really. Where the hell was I going with this? Oh my god! I think I lost it in the middle of the joke. Macho. It like realistically, like they don't.
Yes.
We're imparting the human understanding of gender on top of their system.
It isn't.
It's not intended.
She,
yeah.
It them.
Unlike Sidar Sidan, which is very clearly gender defined.
That's genders.
Right. That's definitely genders. This is far more foreign, for lack of a better explainer in the moment.
Actually, but yeah, exactly.
That said, we do get to the cumulative moment that we were talking about, the culmination of everything that had kind of came before. Tannerin steps up to suggest the culinary moment, the Michelin star of the book, if you will.
The ratatouille of the book, if you might.
Tannerin steps up to suggest that Hadrian wouldn't kill the child because he's a coward, which I think, to be clear, is not Tannerin calling him a coward so much as it is trying to relay through his language and in a way that Arenado would understand.
But like that one basketball documentary, and I took that personally.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Absolutely. Hadrian chooses to do this, remembering the final words of Smythe as she dies there on the bier, and seeing her there. And so strikes down Nebuda with his sword to the back and just running him through, which leads immediately to Tannerin's execution, which is also very brutal, leading to more blood and the sounds of feasting, wielded arms over top.
So that one scene from Lord of the Rings, whenever Meat's back on the menu, just like pulling out the entrails and, and it's very good. Yeah.
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 Also makes our bad guys really scary. We've seen them eat flesh now. Like that's real.
Speaking of bad guys being scary, there's such a cool moment in this section, in this scene. I think right before this, where Aranata like moves forward towards the hologram, and extends like his fangs outward.
Yeah. Right.
Oh my god, I was just picturing like Pennywise, or like deep sea creatures. Like, that's not okay. That's good. Not. I'd rather not.
Yeah. That is also absolutely horrifying. And
I will still say,
like, Hadrian jumps backwards at that.
Absolutely horrifying. We've had weird baby hands growing out of adult hands in a lake full of hands that can see the future and the past and talk to your brain futures. We've had 8-foot metal spiders. We've had torture rapist metal guys. All the things that we don't like. Horrific. And we have this, and this is terrifying. And none of this is still as bad as the Umad going down Hadrian's throat in book 1. That I'm glad that Rocchio saw that he went too far and dialed it
never
back.
Going back. Tore out this guy's throat with the teeth. We see Hadrian get decapitated later.
I can't wait for the next edited re-release where he just gets rid of that one sentence, because it doesn't need to be there.
No. Do you remember? I checked the other edition. It's in the other book. It's not.
It's still there.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the next one.
The next one. I was going to say, I was like, oh man.
It's so funny to me that apparently nobody but me noticed that.
It is very interesting because we had a lot of patrons that just skipped over it and were like, "That you made that."
A lot of people were like, "Absolutely, what the fuck is Josh talking about? There's no tentacle porn choke out down the throat. There's no gullet fucking here." And yes, there is. And you didn't believe me, and you've read that book how many times?
Right? Yeah. No, I totally skipped over it. I'm among that number.
Really happy that we're going with normal, bodily evisceration and extended fangs and unhinged jaws.
The usual casual shit.
The cold night, and child death. That type of stuff, that's much better. I do prefer this.
Very, very fair. I do love the lead into this moment, right? We mentioned it with Tanarad, the coward, coward, coward. The words echo as though brethren is saying them to him. And we get the quote, cowards and faint-hearted runaways look for orations when the foe is near. Our swords shall play the orders for us, which is the full quote that we haven't gotten as of yet. That is also the saying of House Marlowe, and he represents this proudly. In addition, I'm wearing Beer is the Mind Killer merch. It's the one piece that he has for Sun Eater. It's excellent. It's brethren. It's the Karn eyes. It's the sword, the High Matter blade itself. It's excellent.
Dear Beer is the Mind Killer, I do have an idea for another shirt if you are interested for Sun Eater. It is just gonna be a couple of tentacles, and it's gonna say, "Open up, birdie! Open up, little birdie!"
The Humond are coming everywhere.
Everywhere, as they do.
Yeah. But this is from the Great Tamburlaine, which people who have read a little bit further in the series will understand why that's important. We'll talk about that eventually, but not now.
Timberlane.
No, I'm just going to level with you. The Tamerlane is the name of a ship that's coming up, and it's introduced very quickly. So, and it's not that big of a deal, but it's close. Okay, it's adjacent. So,
and much like Karn is probably incarnation, the Tamerlane is probably like loosely.
There are other things. We'll talk about that later. Yeah, Timberland. Okay. Yeah, Timberland. Yeah, right.
Timberland.
Mm-hmm. My computer is named Tamburlaine because I name all of my hard drives after science fiction ships, and so this is the Tamerlane now.
I love that.
Yeah. I just decided that was a thing. So I've got a bunch from Red Rising, I've got some from Star Wars, and from Stephen Baxter books, and then I have Sun Eater now. So
very good.
Yeah. Cool. With that, we'll move on to Hope is a Cloud here. As the corpse is shuffled away and the Cielsen wait outside ready to come in, we check in again on the children, demanding that they're kept safe, and Volka manages to maybe not be permissible of Hadrian's actions, but doesn't judge him here for having made them in those decisions, which is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we do have the backstory that though she rejects like violence as a solution and has her own like history with it, like Valka was a soldier to a degree. You know, like I think she understands that war is different than dueling someone over some girl's honor. You know,
very true. This is very different beast.
So different inherently, and so like she might be horrified by the war of it all, but Adrian didn't make the wrong call in her eyes in that moment for war. And I think that that's what Hadrian kind of has like trouble separating, even future Hadrian to a degree, is like Valka's not saying all violence barbarian, all violence bad. Valka's saying like making the world based in violence is bad.
Supporting a world that condones violence.
Yeah, being a part of the violence of that world where it's part of the culture, that's bad. The nightmare come out of dark and ice castle meteor and eat you. You do violence back? Not so bad.
Not afraid.
Unfortunate. Not joy. Not feel good. Shouldn't feel good. That would be the problem. The problem would be kill child, feel good. You kill child, you feel bad. Was right call. A-okay. I feel like it's simple. I get where Malcolm's coming from.
Right. The math of it all makes sense. The arithmetic. I just love that you broke down.
I just can't understand women, man. And I'm like, it's not that hard. It's not that hard, Adrian.
I don't think that he's so confused so much as he is like,
I don't know. He constantly talks about how he cannot ever
very true, and he does say that
I
here,
think is maybe the easiest to understand and most like sane character in the series.
Very true, very fair. The only thing that I impart here in particular that I like latched onto for whatever reason is more specifically this idea that like he expected animus specifically from Volka for this decision, especially because she like jumped in and almost tried to like save him practically in the moment, but instead comes to understanding. And I don't know if that's as much confusion in the way that he is every other time with women, or if it's instead like a I mean, it is definitely confusion in some degree, but not in the same way where it's like you're fucking oblivious, man.
Has Hadrian ever not been confused by like very basic human interaction whenever it comes to a woman he's attracted to?
Most of Jinan seems pretty straightforward, honestly.
Yeah, you're right. Him and Jinan, they had an understanding for the most part. Yeah.
It seems, at the very least.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But like Valka in particular is vexing in a different way.
Valka is super confused by Cat. He's like, "Oh, why are you dying?"
Yeah,
girl?
right. Right. And Cat gets invoked a couple of times this week once again.
Yeah.
But
yeah, she's not mad because why would she be?
Mm-hmm. we hear the drilling on the outside of the ship though, and that's really what drives us through a lot of this chapter is what do we do? As the Nahute are trying to worm their way in, Valka comes up with a great idea to vent helium, hoping to give them a smoke screen and maybe choke them out.
Yeah.
God, now I'm gonna
I love this idea of like you're gonna have to. I can't tell you it's good. I mean, it is. It's fantastic.
It's gonna be a Devil's Fit episode at this point. It's gonna be fine.
Oh my God, can we just watch Robbie Bon Jovi and talk about it?
I think that's what we're gonna do. That's fine.
All right.
Anyway.
I'll let you know whenever I finish it if it's worth it.
All right. Well, sounds good.
I'm halfway through, which means I'm about 2 hours in.
Outstanding.
Again, Devil's Cut content. Get in there, check it out. The
Nahute,
the Nahute drilling is a terrifying thing. Also, all I can picture, I might have said this last week, is like Onyx from Pokemon. I cannot think of what these things look like, and I'm like, okay, well, these ones are like shaking the hole. Is it that there's a lot of them, or do they have bigger Nahute? Are these like their siege Nahute? You know, like I don't know.
I assume it's just the same little ones.
I think they got siege Nahute.
Okay.
I think they started chanting Grok, you know, and then Gronk, not Gronk. Well, this is the future. Yeah, so right. Maybe the Cielson.
That'd be an Americani demon, you know. That's not a Cielson thing.
Grok as the Americani march out, like Grok, the siege engine.
Oh man, yeah. Grond is obviously the reference here for anyone who doesn't know, which is the hammer of Morgoth.
Yeah. But in this case, it is, you know, definitely Jordan Peterson's future. So it's Grok, and we. That's what I'm picturing. I think they have some big siege Nahute, but no, there's probably just a lot of the normal ones. I love Valka's like, let's fucking gas him moment. Like Hadrian's like, oh, maybe she'll be mad, and she's like, hey, we can do like gas that'll just kill him. Some of them, maybe. We go out with helmets on. Zip, zap, zoom. We could take them all out. And, and I'm like, yeah, see, because she's reasonable and doesn't want to die, but
and smart.
And smart. Yeah, Hadrian's like, all right, time to go 8v1 these 9-foot monsters. She's like, hold on.
Hang on, bro. Like you can do that on a good
lot
day.
Of helium.
Yeah. And the captain's like, no, we can't use the weapons, and we can't do this. And of course, it's Valka that comes up with a nice solution. And again,
exactly. Like it's like me putting hand wraps on because a bear is coming to the campsite.
Yeah,
unless it's like we have a gun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you're right. Actually,
even like if you want to use the guitar, like that's better than your hands.
Let's go fight a bear, my 5'6" ass.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I really like
this. Last time I fought a bear, I got kicked out of the gay clubs.
That'll happen. God, that's good. That was a good joke. Sorry, I'm lost in that sauce for a particular moment. I do really like this. Also, I mean, something that we talked about in relation to the first book in its wrap up is that while there are other characters, they don't necessarily do things right. And this book, I think, over the course of its story, makes the argument for itself that yes, we have characters, yes, they do things, and they make choices that aren't just Hadrian. Although this story is obviously hyperfixated on Hadrian as his autobiography in first person. So. Little A, little B, and this is a great example of Valka stepping up to the plate. You know, Bassander Lynn previously in Switch as well.
Yeah,
you know,
it's really cool to see everybody kind of like
a variety
find
of characters.
Their moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a good like sci-fi. We have the technology, like, You can almost hear the Stranger Things music kicking in, which they way overused in season 5, But
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Wait, what? Say that again.
Mm-hmm.
Candy shop? Candy shop.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have that moment, which is always nice, that good idea, and then we do some killing.
I got a speech to read, though. Anyone who knows the podcast knows that there are good speeches I'd love to give analysis of. I was a speech coach for 5 years in high school for folks. I love this shit. Rhetoric is great. So he says, "Do you hear that?" I said, digging deep, drawing on every scrap of speech and rhetorical training Gibson and my father had given me. I pointed the dead hilt of my sword at the sloped wall of the closed ramp. "That is death, ladies and gentlemen, death coming for us all. They've taken Smythe, Crossflame, your friends and comrades. They're coming to take you, to take us all. We must not let them. We must stop them here. Now. Captain Lin has gone for reinforcements, but we cannot wait here to die any longer." I lowered my sword, my voice. I had not activated the speakers in my suit, relied instead upon the low ceiling in my own 2 lungs. So when I quieted, I felt the crowd lean in, the farthest straining then to hear me. "Mark my words, this is the end. But is it our end or theirs? I don't know. But I do know that this is our moment to choose." I made a fist and heard the words resounding in me as I spoke them aloud. "Not whether we live or die. No man chooses that, but we can choose to fight now. If we are to die, we will not do so cowering like children afraid of the night. We will not die trapped here like rats. We are men. We will fight the demons to the last. We will show them the sons and daughters of earth are the power to fear. We will show them we are not afraid, and we will teach them fear before the end." Yeah.
I do need you to be really proud of me. I held it in. Whenever he said "we are men," everything in me wanted to go bump, bum, 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 bum. But
yeah, right. That's very fair. Yeah.
No. Such a good speech. Slightly better than speaking Elvish to your friend for a while and then just going, "Then I shall die as one of them."
Very true.
No, this rips. I like that he's also like kind of confused by he's like, it wasn't a great speech, but people seem really into it. To my surprise, I'm like, yeah, dude, you're a poet. Like we already established that. Yeah, you're a poet. You're an artist. You do talking. You are the orator and
which
the
is
sword.
What we just said. Yeah,
exactly. And yeah, it's a great scene. We love a good rally speech.
Yeah, good rallying cry.
There's also better. It's better than "I shall die as one of them." It's not quite as good as everybody chanting death. Right in the middle,
right there. Yeah. I really like the guy like calling and asking him, "Who are you?" And he says, "Only a man who bleeds red as you, and one who will not die this day." I have said before, only rarely does the universe match my capacity for melodrama. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Mister, I'm gonna die today, dude.
One who will not die today. Well,
so there I was. Again, cue the Always Sunny theme music.
One who will not die today.
The gang dies.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, we move into the pit, which is an excellent little chapter. We move then to a fight, and what a fight it is we're drawn into what feels like this sort of it is not Abercrombie, but it feels as claustrophobic in a lot of ways as an Abercrombie combat does. It feels stuffy,
it does,
confusing. You're not sure which direction is up a lot of the time. And Hadrian is like born in battle here. Like he's fought in the Colosso, but that is nothing compared to what this is, in his own words.
Yeah, so we get to the pit. I think Dr. Whitaker's still looking for a new set of scrubs, but they're out of them. Robbie is dealing with the fact that there's something going on between Santos and Langdon, and you got to keep that stuff off the floor because this is where people live and die.
Right.
And
it's really important. Got to keep that shit tight.
I kept all of the jokes to like the first 2 episodes from season 1 since I know you haven't watched it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Dr. Al-Hashimi. No, sorry. Yeah, so I love that claustrophobic feel. I like this intense fight. Hadrian falls down and drops his sword
Fucking like 3 times.
lot.
Yeah.
He's not good at this.
Yeah.
He's a good dueler. He knows how to do like showmanship fighting in a to the death for sure. But he knows how to do like Myrmidon shit, and he knows how to like duel a man for honor. This is Hadrian's like not first time. Like we've seen it a couple times, and we know like in the Red Company there's been some like skirmishes, but like this is war, and Hadrian is not a soldier. Like he's
not this kind of soldier
built for this yet. We do get a glimpse that maybe one day he will be, but
yeah. There is this interesting reflection. Part of the reason that I really like this section is on the fact that Starflight, they believe, is also what forced this society to regress to the sword in some ways, because weapons were so big and outsized that, like, why bother with anything so impersonal, Yeah. And so why not train in the personal for when you have the moment or time? And that's why dueling culture came back to the fore, or is proposed as such. And then similarly, because of the weird invention cycle of the Cielson, potentially they never left the era of the sword.
Yeah. So while Hadrian was training the blade, they were
the moment I
training the blade.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting. Like in the section, he's very much so talking about like, this is when I wasn't a Myrmidon or a thief or a soldier. This is when this is when I became a soldier, basically.
Yeah. Right.
And like, could have fooled me, dog. But and like, granted, he is like cutting the
he's killing him. He's killing a couple.
The onyxes.
Nahute, yeah.
The Nahute. Yeah. He's cutting the Nahute as they're coming. He's doing well, but like he's also just like all over his own feet. And just like one bump and his sword goes flying. Now he's just looking for his sword, and then his helmet gets cracked, and then he's but I love that claustrophobic thing. I like that he's not a superhero, but yeah, it is interesting. Like the third time he drops his sword, I'm like, you gotta get like a bungee rope or something.
You got it.
Like, whenever surfers have that little thing that connects to their wrist or their ankle, you need one of those on this thing.
For sure. Yeah. Little Wiimote.
Yeah, exactly. Just like a little wrist strap. We need to get this guy a wrist strap.
ASAP. I do definitely agree with you. I think what's interesting too, or what I love about it very similarly, is that because of that nature, he's expecting it to be like this grand space of like fighting, right, in so many different ways, and instead it's this tight claustrophobic sort of thing where like nothing is eloquent or elegant. It's very reminiscent of combat in a show called The Kingdom, which I highly recommend. I think it's The Kingdom. Highly recommend. Historical fiction based on books by Bernard Cornwell, mostly true, some falsified bits, of course, to like make drama and whatnot. But one of the best things about that show is the way that they depict a lot of the actual fights and sieges of like the sword fighting era. It's so often depicted poorly in fantasy. Abercrombie does well, comparatively. I've heard great things about John Gwyn's depiction.
I also keep getting John Gwyn thrown at me, and eventually I'm just gonna have to do it. So
yeah, I'm very excited to. Thomas Boomhauer, a friend of the show, has often advocated, and I did start Malice. I just really didn't like the audiobook narrator, and I was pretty much only reading by audiobook at that time because of the amount of driving and traveling and everything that I was doing. And so I put it off, and I will get back to it. I just didn't really vibe with the audiobook narrator in that book.
It's the most suggested series that I like. Am not that pumped to start, but I know I'll love it once I'm there.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
That's fair. I've heard the first book is sort of like an intentional misdirect in a lot of ways. But
okay, cool.
I don't know what that means.
I did do a little Googling, though, and I do want to point out something I didn't really know, but it makes sense. Very commonly, historically, swordsmen would use something called a sword knot, or where we get the word lanyards, secured around the wrist, a leather cord that would then also be secured to the hilt of their blade.
That makes sense.
Why is that never portrayed in fantasy media or TV or historical? That's just whenever I was saying that, I'm like, actually, that's really weird that people didn't do that. Like, that's not
humans are too ingenious. To
like that's such a basic thing to be like, oh, in a battle, the sword gets knocked out of your hand, you lose the sword forever, you're dead, or the sword's down there and then you have it again. what would be the downside? I can't even really think of a downside other than like a little dangly thing that you could be grabbed. But like, I'm like,
Yeah,
it just
it's
makes
another thing
sense
to get
have.
caught on things, but like that's
But
about the
you're
extent of
wearing
it.
armor. You got
Yeah.
so much shit to get caught on stuff, you know?
The other side of this too is like a lot of people, think of like sword fighting as this like giant two-handed thing when in fact it was often cross blade because you're catching
cross
things.
blade,
Yeah.
often
Two-hand
shield,
grip.
one-handed
Yeah.
sword. Yeah, exactly. A lot of times even held upside down to pickaxe people in their
Yeah.
little eye holes, you know?
Right.
Sword fighting gets weird and I like it. And most swords weren't that sharp.
Right. Yeah.
Sharp enough, but mostly
Blunt.
pointy and heavy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like Hadrian needs a sword knot because apparently those are real things people have been using for centuries.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the claustrophobia of it and like being reminiscent of
Yes.
this older, more medieval combat, as also he calls out himself. There's a lot of like great internal description of like his panic to swallowing my heart and feeling its pulse within me beating like a drum. I mean, very classical stuff in a lot of ways. It's just good. It's great combat writing.
Yeah, I agree. Incredible combat writing, very like narrow camera, which I like
Mm-hmm.
for my combat.
Yeah, really pulls tight for once. And like I think the only stray observation really that gets put in here is that one about Starflight.
Yeah, I was gonna say like this is maybe the least that we I was shocked that halfway through this fight we didn't get like a ponderation of
Mm-hmm.
the ideals of public transit or something, you know?
Yeah.
So no, I really like that we're like in the scene. We feel the scene in a way that I think we got a lot of in The Lesser Devil whenever we went over that. And we get some crazy shit I want to talk about later, obviously. But it's interesting because of the way how this book is written, because of the viewpoint that we're in.
Right.
It's hard to get this really narrow, really claustrophobic, really in the moment feel. And this one does accomplish it well while still being in that. And then there's some stuff that happens later where we get feeling in a different way again. But
yes,
we'll
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm very excited to talk about it.
I'm the most excited.
Yeah. I will say, again, we've mentioned that he manages to lose his sword. One of the big parts of this is obviously he's losing the sword, and the Nahute are sort of attacking him, but they're getting blocked by the Royce shields, which is another part of this Starflight thing that they talk about for a brief moment. This leads to Volka revealing that not only was she learning the regular language, she was also figuring out their written coding language as a part of the conversations with Tanaran, and hacks the Nahute's radio signal, which is fucking dope.
Dude.
Yeah.
Just runs out there and starts dropping Nahute with her brain. So fucking cool.
Yeah. Yeah, just deprogramming them on the fly, basically.
Yeah. So far, Valka's a lot more successful in everything she does than Hadrian. And
just goated,
Yeah,
Volka might be the best character.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
I think that if they had just sent like Valka, Polino, and Basander on the mission,
this all would have gone so well.
It would have been fine. Basander would have been like, we have to turn back, and Valka would be like, give me 3 more years and we'll get you something. And then Basander would be like, all right, 3 more years, and then she'd be like, I got you something. Here they are. And then they'd go talk, and she'd be like, it's pointless, blow it up.
Yeah, and Polino would be like, got it, boss. Yeah.
Yep. Presses the button.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, Switch and Hadrian are doing jump rope. Right? Yeah.
Switch and Adrian are just still at the Colossus.
Yeah, right. They're just in the gym boxing. Yeah.
Playing with the boys,
Yeah, right. Exactly. So just as all seems lost, though, to kind of round out this chapter, as like many of the men have died and there are so few left, the Red Company arrives, saving the day, driving them all back. Basander allows Hadrian to head after the prince and his coterie with Polino, Siran, and basically everyone else we assume, from our like little Red Company crew, including Basander himself, of whom also attends after the prince. Yeah. We
love the Red Company arriving. It feels good.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a very straightforward like action movie scene.
Absolutely.
I don't have like
there's nothing else to say. It's just
great.
Like, it's cool. Like, it's sick. Yeah.
Yeah, here they are. Oh my god, we lived,
Yeah,
it's
right. It doesn't feel
nice.
Deus Ex. We knew that it was coming. They were playing for time, and time came.
And I would say even like in the Deus Ex of it all, it's not quite long enough to be a full Deus Ex, but it's also not quite soon enough to be a full salvation. You know, like
Right. Yeah.
they show up when they show up,
Mhm.
and we win,
Right.
and it sucked, but we won. You know, like
Yeah, it's a
I like
Pyrrhic
that. It's just,
victory in a lot of ways, but
yeah, yeah. I dig it a lot. It's so sick when they get there.
start cutting them down. We get Lancer bolts here and there. Basander
Yeah,
starts
I know
shouting.
we don't see it here. I like that we're told later that Switch was there
Mm-hmm.
in this like return, like
Yeah.
heroically fighting off the. But that's a
Of
conversation.
course, he's
for
not paying
another
attention.
time.
Yeah, to Switch.
Got
With
a
that-
rug.
Broken here, which is an excellent chapter. It's very tough to talk poorly about this chapter. So they chase down the Cielson back to the garden. Hadrian quickly catches Basander up on all the details of all those alive and now dead, leaving nothing but pity for Marlowe until they're quickly ambushed and separated into two forces. The sort of Red Company, which is Krim, Polino, Valka, Ilex, and crew that do their best to fight off the Cielson, slicing 1 and 2 and shouting in Cielson to them, "Who's next?"
Oh man,
Motherfuckers.
it's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Also, like this isn't like that war moment from before. This is closer, just in the sense that it's broken into pockets like this.
Right.
Like the physicality of the fighting is more in the vein of like Colosso, which is what like the Red Company knows. Like they're really able to like separate a couple of them and duel them.
Strategy.
Oh, it's so hot.
Yeah. It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
It's so reminiscent of that thing that we kind of didn't get enough of before, and then to see.
And just like we don't even really dive into the details, but you know it's like Krim and Polino are doing the hacking and slashing.
Mm-hmm.
And I assume like Polino's maybe held back a little and Krim's doing a lot of the heavy slashing, and Polino's kind of like keeping an eye on the whole situation and like just kind of commanding that little chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And then Valka's just like brain zapping every Nahute.
Yeah.
And, it's such a cool scene. It's just like it's a perfect D&D party, right? Like you have like your Battlemaster champion or Battlemaster fighter, and then you have like I would put Krim in this situation as like maybe like a barbarian.
Yeah,
and then you have Valkyrie back here playing a support role. You know, like,
I think straight up a wizard. I mean, I would just say
hitting him with the glass cannon wizard.
Warlock. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, maybe a warlock. Honestly,
Yeah.
We'll say wizard because she just counterspell.
Exactly, just everything.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's so good. It's such a balanced fucking. They're killing it. I liked that part a lot.
Yeah, it just feels good to like see them kind of execute well on that level.
Yeah. And I think you've mentioned maybe we get to see more about this in some of the short stories, but it makes me want to know. Like, I want to see the Red Company whenever they were the Red Company. You know, like in action, doing the thing.
Oh, you're going to be so excited about the next two things we're going to read. So, Demons of Arae and Queen Amid Ashes, baby. I think it's worthy to spoil that Queen Amid Ashes is the only novella that is Hadrian's perspective. It is not a main book, but it is Hadrian, which is interesting. Right. And then Demons is a short story that I think is also from Hadrian's perspective, but they're both Red Company stories.
So excited for that.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's like the biggest tragedy to this very, very, very good book is that I hate it when a book tells you that some stuff happened and it's the most interesting stuff.
Yeah, I would say that what's interesting about that to some degree is part of it is Rockio is leaving the space for him to go back and write things when he wants to and like have fun in the world again. But also that like maybe there might be a missing tome or two within the full cycle of the Sun Eater, and he could jump back into Hadrian's perspective and write like a book 2.5 or a book 3.5 and like really flesh out a chunk and say, oh, it's newly discovered text, and like it could be fun, you know, to add to the story.
So sick. Yeah. I love it.
He's created a vehicle in a lot of ways here. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I love that he can like complete the series but live in this world as long as he wants, you know?
Yeah. I mean, he's also said like, he said this intentionally in interviews, and I'll mention it again. I think I mentioned it before. While this is done, he's never going to write a different science fiction setting because he's already put so much fucking work into this one. Can you imagine like trying to rebuild your fucking universe. He's like, I'm gonna write forever as sci-fi.
You know so much more than I do,
Yeah.
and maybe this answer is already there. Like, I want the Americani I wore. Like, I want the breaking or whatever.
He could go back. He could go forward. He could do whatever. You know.
Right, I want like a rom-com between Brethren and the Quiet.
there is sort of a, it's not a rom-com, but it did flash in me. I think I mentioned this last week, maybe, or mentioned this to someone else that in messages, but there is a story that is sort of like a judge situation with the Chantry.
Told me that.
Really good one. That's like a standout short story for me.
Yeah.
But again, not one that's required reading. You can go read it on your own, and dear listener, you too. So, Marlowe, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to throw out there, as far as short stories go, like Abercrombie has great ones. Obviously, Sharp Ends is fantastic, and there's more beyond that.
Yeah, I would say Sharp Ends is, in my opinion, the best canon collection of short stories for any fiction work, period.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I would love 100 pages of a Little People chapter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, and it doesn't have to be in a fight. Just one shot through people in that world, where it's interesting the entire time, and it just keeps, someone walks by someone and the camera just follows them instead, like the Little People chapters work. If Joe, if you're listening, please
do
for
it.
Me. Sometimes it can be action. Like, we could go through so many scenes. Like, it could cut to somebody and they could pass the conversation we were having, and they could be on a heist, and we could be in a heist, and then they get knocked out of the window, and we follow the guy who just watched someone fall out of the window he was cleaning, and that's so confusing, and he goes back about his day and needs to get some bread for his wife. It isn't that nice, you know? Like, just keep doing that for 100 pages.
There's got to be a novella in there, like, not necessarily even for Joe, for anyone who's interested. Like, that like continuing, although Joe executes it so well, obviously.
So well. Well, and like, I've actually thought about doing it, and like that would be more for me. Yeah. Only because, like, I'm not gonna.
But that's the kind of thing you want to do.
Rip Joe's style and be like, it's mine.
Joe ripped it from Oneers. It's fine.
You're right. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
It's also, I mean, it's good no matter which way you cut it. But to put a bow on this, Joe Abercrombie has the best short story collection canon of anyone. I will say, if you collected the collective of the short stories that Rocchio's written down into one collection,
it's a competitor. I
think it's competitive for sure. Okay. I don't think it's better, but I think it's competitive, which is why Songs of the Sun Eater and Sins is an interesting concept, because I think Sins is going to be maybe the stronger set, or maybe
we're
Songs.
In a situation right now which we're gonna talk. We're gonna go macho sports. Yeah, you know, Rocchio's short stories, they're the Padres. I'm a Padres fan. They've never won, but they're always close.
Yeah.
And Abercrombie's short stories, they're the Dodgers. You know, they're just there. The team hasn't changed that much in a while. They keep winning. It's annoying as shit.
And Pierce Brown has none. With that,
Pierce Brown is the Rockies, correct?
That said, to get back to this incredible chapter, Marlowe continues the chase, justifying that it might blow up. I don't know why I keep switching between Hadrian and Marlowe, but whatever. Hadrian continues the chase, justifying that it might blow up its own ship to kill them before they finally meet Cielcin the Human by the lake. The pair agree to fight, and the prince waves off his soldiers to deal with the Red Company friends like a good party, and seeing this duel proper as Aranata pulls out one of its stolen high matter blades. The duel continues, and Hadrian feels tired, but fights through fury and rage. Both really do here, and there's no conversation to be had with the creature, despite Hadrian's attempts at jabs. Like, Hadrian's trying to get something out of him, and he doesn't until he wounds him.
Yeah. Oh, this is so cool. It like, there's so much about this book specifically so far, and maybe it continues, that's trying so hard to push how completely different like, there is no way to even begin to comprehend each other.
Right.
Cielcin and humans are. And in this moment, they get each other. This is a duel. Like, this is a show of strength. This is a moment of, like, dominance and submission. This is a fight to the death. This is between them, and it's rad.
It's so fucking sick. I did just send you a little text message of this moment that is on the boards of the Broken Binding edition of this book.
Oh, damn.
It's incredible. It is specific to this fight in combat. It is fucking beautiful as all of this has happened.
Would you say that's like Valka and Krim or Polino to the left here?
I think it's definitely Volka depicted right there, with sort of her particular jacket on and kind of everything else as it's described. It must be Polino, I think. Although he's just a soldier in armor, but like we mostly know that it's Polino that's around. But you can see all the different Cielson fighting and
the Cielson like world ship.
Yeah.
Broken in the background. Oh my god, and there's just like this whole war around here. This is so sick. I'm going to describe it in detail for the next hour from left to right for our listeners. Top left corner.
Top right corner real quick. The blown up world ship.
Yes, I did bring that up. I said it already, Cross.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Oh my god. Well, it's more like straight up.
Yeah.
Like front and center, a little to the right.
Right.
Top left corner, near black, gray, brown. Slightly lower than that. Near black, gray, brown. Slightly lower than that. We start moving into an orangey glow.
God damn
it. That's so sick. That what was that art from? Did you say?
It's from the broken binding edition of Howling Dark.
Of course it is.
Yeah. Which are not terribly expensive, by the way, and I think that they are actually still in stock, if I recall correctly.
Really? Okay.
The first 3 books collectively are 120 pounds, which is like $140, and they all include art and unique covers and spines.
I don't think my bookshelf can hold that, man.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty fucking heavy, if I do say so.
It's just like one mildly overweight child sitting on my bookshelf. I can't do that.
Yeah. But yeah, so they have Demon in White. They have 1 through 3, and then they sold 4 and 5 together because they belong together, and then 6 and 7 are yet to come out as a pair, as a set.
They do belong.
But they're very pretty. They're very good. And that fucking, in my opinion, there's a lot of art that's out here for the series, and I really like a lot of it. That depiction in particular is my favorite depiction of anything.
It's so good. Yeah. It's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did picture them in more of a 3D environment, a little higher than everybody else on that.
Yeah, a little bit more of a hill, running up that hill, and my shins hurt. Yeah.
Yeah. Running down that hill.
Running up that hill and it hurts my feelings. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Running down the hill hurts my shins.
Running downhill hurts my shins. Running uphill hurts my feelings.
Right.
That's the
more on that in the Devil's Cut. That said, I just fucking love this duel, man. It is like exhausting in a lot of ways because they're tired physically, and like the swipes are interesting. Arenada's cool because he's using so much heft to like throw his body around when he doesn't have to. And like Hadrian uses that as much as he can against the creature, but obviously is still tired and exhausted from all the fighting that he's already done. And yeah, it's just fucking sick, man.
Yeah, it goes so well.
It goes so well. Before we get to the part where it goes so well, there's a great little quote here that is, "What is it about deep water? Some memory of the womb, or is it only the fear of drowning? None can say, but that place, even the memory of it, chills me. I found myself remembering the prophet Jari transformed by water. The priest of Edward's called to rebirth people into their mystery by immersing them in water." And just another little mention reference to both Edward, the deeps, Jari, and this lake.
We're really talking about baptism right before being reborn,
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit. There's a lot of water. There's a lot of swords and lakes. There's a lot of like Arthurian shit mixed in with a lot of other shit. Yeah. Well, and it definitely there's that Edward that we assume is a museum Catholic at this point. If not, we're directly informed. I think we are actually directly informed of that in the previous novel or in this one. It seems clear, at the very least, that he is clearly a Christian.
Yes, there is a certain definite call to baptism here, which is interesting knowing where this goes.
Right, because he doesn't really get baptized, though, because he's never in the water, actually.
Part of him is.
Well, the arm, the old arm.
Later.
That said, he does strike a horn off of the prince, of course, and who bears down on Marlowe, saying, "I am going to enjoy killing you," as Hadrian realizes fully that he is going to die, and comes to terms with that. What's funny is this is also a reference that's been referenced a couple of times over the story of Memento Mori, the idea of the triumph. I am going to die. I'm going to die, and that realization therein. Upon the slave reminding at the triumph, which is a big deal here in Iron Gold as well. He hears his father's voice in his head to tell him to get up as he stands to be executed, first losing his good arm, his right arm, and subsequently his head as he watches it roll and his body fall.
I'm pretty sure I've looked into it. It is around like 3 seconds that consciousness is supposed to remain in like a clean beheading. And you never see that portrayed. It's always just like it hits the ground dead.
Right.
Super interesting that like we actually get to see the head fall from the body from the perspective.
Yeah.
You never really get that because you don't get a lot of times when like someone will be writing about their own perspective, first person, in a way where it would make sense that we see the moment from the view of the person seeing it. And ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why my body up there?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so crazy. Especially, I love the reflection that he has in the moment. All the noise of battle and trammel of creation fell away, shut out by my waking mind. The world was a distraction, the burning ship through the roof above, the battle in the burning forest, even the rain of plasma fire peppering the stone behind us all shrank from me. I put both hands on my sword, the left pressed against the pommel, the point angled to stab Prince Arenata in the heart. Everything I had was in that final attack. When I had fallen, it was the memory of my father standing over me in his office in Devil's Rest that made me stand. It was 100 Colossofights that guided my hand and 100 combatants after. It was a memory of Kat, of Gen, of even Gilliam and Uvenari. It was the thought of how I betrayed Jinan and how Switch had betrayed me. It was my friendship with Polina, with Saran, and with all my Myrmidon companions and all the Red Company. It was my love for Volga, if there was such a thing. All blew away like charcoal drawings in the vortex of that moment, brushed aside until I alone remained. The last piece of my life I could not be parted from. The only thing that I, like Theseus, could not replace. Myself. Cut down.
And that's it, folks.
That's it, as everyone sees it. Like the end of the world, my world, so much blood. There was so much blood. Then there was nothing but darkness, and a profound echoing quiet. How'd you feel about this moment when you were reading it? Like, how did this grab you?
Shocked a little, gripped by how it was written. I did not think it's a very unique description that I feel like I'd never get. Sucked in. I had like 40 minutes left in the audiobook whenever I got to work the first time listening through this. And I was like, damn, I guess I'll listen to this on the way home. And that day I just happened to be like, I'm going to go actually get food, which means I drive. And I did not get food that day. I just starved because I got to where I was going to get food like around the scene, and I just sat in the parking lot and finished the book, and then my lunch was over.
That's brutal.
Yeah, so like I ate a lot of chips that day from the break room. But,
wow.
Yeah. Yeah. This scene was just like everything stopped what I was doing, and I just sat in the parking lot and listened to it because it's so fucking good. There was also like a triumphant, for me, not for Hadrian, for me, moment where I was like, he does die and get regenerated, doesn't he, this bitch? Not as other people, like I predicted back then.
Right. Yep.
Based on the book covers. But yeah, there's definitely a thing where because he's half mortal, that means he does die. He just comes back, which is something I had guessed back in book 1. It was just way off also about all the details in the timeline and how it works. But I didn't think future alien energies were going to send him back through space to be a different version of himself through actualities or whatever. Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I didn't get that part. I missed that part. I'm sorry.
I know so crazy. So sorry.
Should have told me that. I know I should have known that by that point. But
I mean, very technically, kind of. But like, how were you supposed to put any of this shit together? I mean, they're simply, and while I understand the comparison to Farseer in some degree, I don't think that in the end, I don't think that these things are going for the same thing. I haven't read further in Farseer than the second book, so that's.
Did you finish the second book?
Did I finish the second book? Did I finish the second book? I think I only read the first book. Come to think of it,
these might be more similar than you think.
But what I'm saying is that in the end of all of this series, there's no way that these are going in the same direction. There's zero chance. And I generally understand. Okay, so off air, just for everyone's spoiler sake, we did confirm that I've read the second book, which is an important clarification. So, having read the second Assassin's Apprentice, what's that?
Assassin's, not Quest, not Apprentice.
Ranger? No, Assassins.
Assassins. I have it right there. Royal Assassin.
Okay. So having read the first two books, which is, have you read the third? Did you finish the third?
I have not read the third.
Okay,
no.
So we're at the same point in the series.
Same spot, yeah.
There are similarities here, but it is not the same. And I say this from a standpoint of having also not finished the entire series, but there is next to no way that these are going in the same direction, considering I have finished this series. And I also don't think that they're cribbing from each other, and even if they were, I can't imagine Robin Hobb writing this story, and I don't mean that from a capability perspective, I mean that from an intent perspective.
Yeah, I could totally see that. I'm just saying, for me, it was less that I think that, like, Rocchio's ripping from the Farseer trilogy, or that they're the same stories going the same direction, but I think that the similarities between Farseer and Sun Eater are so much more significant than the similarities between Sun Eater and Red Rising, which is what it always gets compared to.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason I bring it up. Yeah. Like, spiritually, these books are coming from similar approaches to storytelling and lore. Mm-hmm. Now they're going to go way different places as far as their intent, as far as what the story progresses from. But the way how they're approaching this sort of metaphysical magic or science fiction, the way how there's kind of future beings that maybe existed that maybe don't, that it's like inherently tied to abilities that people don't understand, that's causing maybe resurrections that don't make a ton of sense in the moment to the character, the way how it's written from a distant future by the main character writing about his past from a dank dark spot, like it all has that similarity.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Red Rising and Sun Eater's similarities are space roams,
right? Yeah.
That's
a shared love of Dune, like
space, Rome, Dune, and don't we all like? I mean, I'll be real. I didn't read Dune. I should probably read
fair.
Dune.
It's a good book. He's got problems, but it's fine. As everyone has problems. Let's be real.
Lisan al-Gaib.
Yeah. I just, in particular, also important to note, I did read this first before I read. I was reading them at a similar time. Because I was debating what was going to be like the next big thing that we covered on the podcast. And I was like, well, there's a massive audience for that. But this is back in the science fiction direction. We've been in fantasy for so long. I want to go back into science fiction. So I read this and then started that series. And I was like, okay, I'll get back to that when it makes sense. And I also critically, I'm not comparing the two books more immediately, but I do think that this pulls it off better in some senses.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned, I don't know if I've mentioned it on the podcast, but I am, like, there's a reason I didn't finish the third one or start the third one. I was enjoying the Farseer trilogy, but I wasn't like as people love that. Like, anytime you bring up fantasy, they're like, but have you read the Farseer trilogy? Or more specifically, it's like, have you read Realm of the Elderlings?
Right.
And I believe it really gets there, but like, I half loved it and half it was a chore. Like, I never got like fully there. I definitely enjoy this more.
I think that's the thing, though, is like a lot of people are like, that original trilogy is pretty good, and then it gets crazy from there until it gets okay again, and then it ends well. So
yeah,
I think it's generally a lot. I mean,
it's a lot of fucking books. So.
Yeah, 14 or 15 novels in total, something like that.
But yeah, I mean, I from my understanding, like the Ship of Madness trilogy, or
which is the next one, is generally considered
supposed to be like mind blowing. But you know, I haven't read it, so I can't talk about it. But all I'll say is that I only bring it up in the sense that like there is. It's not that I think that they're so similar that they're like this is the same thing, but more just that I'm surprised with how similar they did end up.
Sure. Yeah.
Even if it's tangential and kind of like parts line up, parts don't. But like, yeah, I'm. It's like surprising that it's like, wow, actually, these do have a lot of similarities. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do appreciate the idea that like I hadn't fully reckoned with, probably because I read these so close to each other in a way that I hadn't like practically next to each other. I hadn't squared that circle entirely of being like, oh yeah, they are very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But very fucking different. Also.
Right. Well, yeah, obviously. But like, you know, this particular element. That's
Hadrian's never been a dog. I don't even know if he knows what a dog is.
He's got that dog in him, though. We know that from his one-eyed soldier bit. Yeah,
he's got that cat in him, you know.
For sure.
I don't know what he's into.
We do know what he's into, actually.
Yeah, you're right.
I think we've got an intimate idea of what he's into.
He's into Karen Segara.
Very in, even though he would say he isn't.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't like that at all. I'm so fucking bricked up.
I'm bricked up as hell, and I did not like it. Narrator, he did like it.
Sir.
With that in mind, we can move into Howling Dark, which is, of course, the critical chapter that we kind of have been dancing around in this way in the moment. It's worth noting, Josh, I didn't write any notes for this because I do think instead of me trying to prescribe this conversation, I think that this is just sort of the loose, flowy, where do you want to go with this crazy fucking chapter?
Yeah, it's also worth noting that like as soon as Hadrian died, I was like, oh, he's coming back. That's like I know it.
Right.
Like I had that. Yeah. So I was like, I want to experience this story from Hadrian's perspective. So I just skipped over the one where he was dead.
You're just like, oh yeah, dead chapter doesn't matter.
Yeah, so as soon as he comes back, no, not there. There he is.
Excellent.
No, this chapter's fucking bonkers.
Howling Dark.
It's dark.
It's dark.
It's quiet. It's loud quiet. There might be water. Hadrian's there, but it's different Hadrian. Everything's weird. Arms. Shells? I don't know. It's explain this chapter to me, Crossland.
Yeah, I mean, okay. All right. I mean, the goal for me here is to also not explain this chapter to you because I know too much information. But and this is sort of a difficult thing for me to parse reasonably without just reading the text, which is also another reason where I was like, I'm just going to shortcut some of this and be like, haha, Josh, it is your turn. When I was going through and writing these notes. But I do want to say, in particular, I think what's interesting is that one of the first thing that he calls out is all of these sort of like religious bases for which the afterlife would be, right? Like the calling out of like there were no gates of light, nor gleaming city, nor Empyrean, nor mountain crowned by seven walls. There was something up ahead of me in the shapes I could not see or understand, world past, moving like the slow drift of continents, such that I was tossed as the lonely plankton is by a passing whale. That sort of like speed differential I think is also really fascinating as to like what is this, like where I understand that death and this cognizant existence of an quote afterlife quote is here, but like what is it actually?
I mean, even says like in there like who knows what is it like,
how can I make you understand
truly to die, like, or how long it takes, like he doesn't know if he is dying, dead, right? Oh man, this is.
And he's given a name again. He sees the seawall. He begins to see familiar things, right, kind of flash before him.
There's like a Gibson that appears to him in this chapter that's like, I love that in that moment he knows this isn't Gibson. He knows who this is. He knows what this is. I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but this is also a crazy short chapter.
Yeah, it's not super long.
Really good. I think it's
like maybe 6 pages, 7 pages in book.
4 pages.
4 pages. Yeah.
Well, half page, 1, 2, 3, half page.
Got it.
It's like so much happens here. But yeah, like it's it's hard to even talk about because it's just such a mind fuck.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like he rolls through. What is it? I have to like have the book here in front of me for this
Absolutely
section
okay.
because
Yeah, I'm staring at the
um
Kindle copy as well, for the record,
yeah,
on
like
this screen.
the names come, Gibson arrives, and then the raw scream of hunger as I cowered in a damp alley in Borisivo, the
Hmm.
blood cry of my fellow myrmidons, cat's laughter, Janan moving beneath me in the scent of jasmine, Valka shivering against me in the cold of our cell, my headless body swaying before Prince Arenata, the last touch of the lake water as it soaked my bleeding head. Like,
Oh, he is baptized. Okay, there's that.
yeah,
Yeah,
he got baptized.
I didn't think that his body reached the water, but that is
Well, his
interesting.
body didn't. His head did.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. But where's the soul? Well, I don't know.
I don't
Is it
know.
the
Yeah.
head? Is it the
Who
brain? Is
is
it the butt?
Theseus, really?
Not Karn.
Not Karn. Maybe Adrian. Probably not, though.
Not Karn. Not anymore.
It's fascinating. You know, a wind again. We could just fucking read the chapter out loud, and we'd be like, "Oh God, it's all so good." Yeah,
Like,
I mean, a wind came where there was no air, and I endured it. In all that howling dark, I was myself alone, borne upon its tide. The memory of that final lakeside flashed again across my awareness, and I saw it as an observer might, my head falling to the ground just as I had seen in the quiet's vision. I slipped past, watching the moment slide away as though it stood upon the shores of a river, and I was lost in its flood. Like, this Rockio is just flexing a poetic muscle that
yeah.
he does occasionally. Like, Rockio writes purple. We know this. We're aware of this, and like especially Hadrian like definitely flexes that muscle way more. But I don't think Rockio ever gets to fully sit in like how poetic he actually is, because it would be too much in context. This isn't, because of how extra the idea is to be dead and maybe staring at time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like every section I look ahead, I'm like, God, but I gotta read that too because for
Yeah.
that same reason. Like, even this idea of like, at last I collapsed and reached out with the right arm I had lost, willing that hand to be, strained for some identity in the darkness. Hadrian, I told myself, echoing the thunder. My name is Hadrian. My hand fluttered before me, little more than strips of skin shuddering against the blackness. It glowed before me, and I strained. And straining, I clenched my fist. Like he's like forming himself physically out of will as he exists as energy in this place. Wild. Like you could it's
Well, and the idea of at last I collapsed, the idea of a reality collapsing, you know, if you talk about, I'm sure you're aware of Schrodinger's cat, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the general idea is like the thing doesn't exist, or we don't know that the thing exists until we see it, right?
Exactly.
That reality coming into being, is it collapsing? That reality collapses into existence. And so like that is a double entendre that is so clever from a science fiction perspective that it's like, fuck you, dude. Like, God damn it. Such great writing, again, when he was like 24 years old, which just makes me feel so good about myself.
Yeah, feel great about it.
feeling great. And then we move into seeing this other Hadrian.
Yeah, if I may.
Yeah.
A shadow fell across me, even in that absolute darkness, and looking up, I beheld the figure of a man dressed all in black, his armor immaculately sculpted in the best imperial fashion, breastplate shaped like a muscled torso. Stoic faces peered from the tops of his greaves and from his vambraces, black as the dark itself, edged in a labyrinth pattern, the color of fresh blood and crimson beneath. The black coat he wore beneath his black armor was trimmed in red and red lined and fine as the kit of any emperor. In his face, pale and palatine, and carved from alabaster, violet eyes above the knife blade of a nose and twisting lips, the hair as dark as his clothing. Hadrian.
Yeah, the idea that he's saying his own name and then he stares himself down and he's seeing this. It was me, more richly adorned than ever I had seen, and the crest upon my breastplate was not the devil of Medua, but the pitchfork and pentacle I had made for the Red Company, set amid a cartouche of laurels and raven rings. I reached up towards myself, tried desperately to grab hold, but my poor impression of an arm collapsed once more, shreds blowing away to naught. God damn it, fucking so good, so good.
I'd love to just not read this whole chapter, but that other
Yeah.
me looked down upon me and shook his head. I strained to pull my idea of a hand back together to seize the hem of my cape, if nothing else. The other self shook his head again and pointed, raising an armored hand with fingers sharp as the talons of the Cielsen. I turned, and turning beheld a single shining point of light, bright as any I had seen.
I imagine those. I don't know if this is how you feel about it, but I imagine those as the gloves being like pointed and taloned.
Yes,
armor.
but I love
right?
that he like
Yeah.
takes on the claws of the Cielsen
Mhm.
as he becomes this later Hadrian.
Right. Just as bad in some ways. Oh God damn it. Yeah. And he looks, he's like forward, back. The way forward is the way back toward my life, whatever. And it's also good. He sees light. He's seen rivers of light before, swam the waters. He feels falling, feels pain, lungs. He's beginning to reconstitute in a different way after he's kind of leaving here. And he is becoming alive. He questions being in the garden. There's a great question here of what garden are you talking about, Hadrian? Are you maybe talking about the Garden of Eden, or are you talking about the garden that we were in before? In this case, I think it's the garden that we were in before, for the record, but like there's a good argument that it's both simultaneously. And the fact that this new Hadrian that is being crafted or pulled from some semblance of time is different because his left arm is gone instead of his right.
And I was going to say, this is where it starts getting heady. I'm like, when did he lose his left? He didn't. He lost his right, but his right's there. And I'm like, is this some Full Metal Alchemist shit? Does he have to like trade a piece of him to be reborn or some shit? I don't know, Cross. I don't like not knowing.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of books, man. I'm not going to lie.
Can we go back to reading the books where we know? I really like Narnia. It's not that hard.
It's not that hard. They make it real quick. I do. Part of me questions. There's some cumulative chapters in this series that are very important, and part of me, I did reread this chapter and Brethren every book going forward. I went back and reread it. And I reread every time that I read it. I also read the one in Empire of Silence where he falls into the thing, the memory, the green that he sees. Not memory, but like the space, the weird space in Caliga. And like there's a little bit of like interesting additive math there. So curious if you'll do the same.
Should we have a mini episode for every book going forward where we reread Caliga, Brethren, and Howling Dark?
You got to lead those though, because I cannot. But
at the end of each book from now on, we'll reread those before we do our book wrap up.
Just
after
like we
do our last chapter, but
just
before
like a
we do
little
our
bonus.
That'll be like our devil's cut for the book wrap up.
There you go. We're putting main feed content in the devil's cut. I love it. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll still do a devil's cut. They're just going to be like an hour and a half.
It's going to be beefy.
Yeah, they're going to be Diablo cuts.
Diablo. Love that. But this then turns into like his solid form, and then we get Gibson, right?
Yeah.
The quiet Gibson.
And I just love that. Like, oh, where is it? Sorry. I turned my head sideways. Green slippers stood firmly planted on the surface of the waters beside my head. The hem of his Viridian robe held with his cane in one hand to keep it from trailing in the stream. Tor Gibson smiled down at me, his eyes shining, a muted smile barely visible on his thin lips. Gibson? I asked. The apparition shook its head, and I knew. The quiet took another step nearer to me. That's whenever I was like, I'm not eating lunch. I'm not eating lunch. That's as soon as that happened, it was just like the certainty of it, the moment of like, that's the quiet. Like, that's who I've been. Honestly, I'm over here. My mic's over here. Yeah. I feel like that's who we've been seeing whenever he's like physically seeing Gibson. That's like leading him to the deeps. Like the quiet has been apparating as these people from his life to guide him on the path he has to go down. Like, it's fucking cool and so sinister feeling. Like something about the quiet feels so ultimate big bad to me. You got a face. You're trying so hard.
I'm
trying
doing
so
my thing.
hard.
Ultimate big bad, huh? No.
I can't tell if it's confirmation or I'm so wrong, but you got a face.
I think that the quiet is one of the most, obviously, innately is one of the most fascinating questions. And again, I think that this is something that diverges a little bit, regardless of how it's executed for the rest of the series. These could not be identical in the way that they would execute such an idea. So, I mean, come on.
It's really going to suck when we read the rest of
right, yeah, like we've kind of committed to maybe
don't
doing
exist
that
yet,
yeah.
But they're from the future and they're guiding us to where we awaken the dragons in the future. They exist as metaphysical energy, though. Currently, like that's not what's going on. As far as I know, I haven't read it.
I feel like I can almost certainly promise that like the way that Book 7 ends is not anywhere near what was happening. But regardless,
okay, is the cloister that Hadrian's in the actual past? Because we know that the quiet exists outside of time.
I can't answer that question. Why would I answer that question?
Yeah, because I'm blurry. I can't hear it.
I can't hear the answer because I'm blurry because the video doesn't want to focus because you're not using your blue thing. I'm just kidding. It's totally
I don't have the blue thing because it won't hold a white clock because it's big.
Oh, because it is one of the bigger ones. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Gibson, though, I mean, like, what a great flashback, and especially to occupy the space. I mean, you know, the quiet just says, "You died." You know, that isn't what I mean. And in particular, you know, the very end of this chapter, right, is pretty crazy. From the concept of like, we're not done with you.
Yeah. They're like, no. Imagine.
Yeah. What do you mean you're not done with me? What do you want?
Have you ever gone to clock out and just kind of been like told no? Imagine that at the pearly gates.
Yeah.
Like,
imagine
no,
that.
My shift's over. And they're like,
no,
we're gonna need you to actually finish filing these, buddy.
Go back. Go back. Try again.
For how long? For all of it.
Yeah.
Forever, please.
Forever.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you want to exist?
What's so interesting is we're told that the quiet decided to shrug off their physical beings to exist as energy, but it seems like the quiet want to exist physically. But we know that they live in time in a different way than us. So, wait, did they shrug off their physical forms to exist as energy, or were they energy and they want to exist physically? Cross, help! I'm having an aneurysm.
Well, Josh, unfortunately, I cannot help you. The only thing that will help is another book that we will begin reading soon.
Okay.
Anything else in this chapter that you want to bring up?
Fuck you. Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about it. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Insane chapter. I will be rereading this chapter.
It's an all-timer, man. I mean, like, between this and Brethren, like, this is part of the reason that this book is in my, like, top canon of books. What do I currently have it ranked at? Hang on. I've got a pretty strict rule where I try not to include multiples of an author within my top books.
There's a lot of book that we have to talk about that we've been talking about in this, and we're pretty much done with this section. We're probably moving into the next one, I assume.
Yep.
Right? Is that where we're at?
Drink segment, but yeah.
We were just yapping off cam, maybe it made it in.
Devil's Cut.
Devil's Cut stuff.
Probably.
And one thing that did get brought up is we are reading Musashi.
Yes.
For this podcast, which is a big fucking book, and I'm scared.
Yeah.
It's a good time. Get a Musashi reference.
We do. It's not here.
In the next section.
It's in the Hauptmann chapter, I believe. But
but I was like,
yeah,
we got to call that out. So I just want to make sure we're calling that out.
Yeah,
we're not going to miss that.
We're not going to miss that.
All right.
With that, I think it's time for us to go make our drinks for our little drink segment and then wrap up this story as it gets fucking crazy. Hey there, folks. As you can probably tell, this is not the recording and the crossland that you're expecting to see in this moment as we cut to our moment away with our cocktails. That said, part of that is because we ended up recording one of the longest sessions that we've ever recorded talking about the end of this book, it's a pretty incredible back half of a conversation, so much so that I didn't want to try to like hack and slash it together to make it one almost 5-hour episode. So it just made sense to cut it in half for the most part. There's additional content that's also lying on the floor that we're giving to patrons, of course, patreon.com/words and whiskey. But next week, you can look forward to the back half of this episode as we had planned. Obviously, this doesn't change anything else that's going on, but we're very excited to have you listen to the rest of it. We do get a little just slightly sloppy and messy in the back half, but I think that we maintain good decorum and talk very high level about some very esoteric ideas that require the time and investment. And in all honesty, this speaks more to my inability to plan appropriately for the end of what is an incredible book with an incredibly strong final 12 chapters. So 11 chapters. That said, we're going to try to avoid this happening in the future as much as we possibly can, but this one just made sense better this way. So that said, we'll see you next week for the end of Howling Dark.